Okay, hi. Well, geez, God, it's Saturday instead of like Wednesday night to Thursday. I'm actually Saturday evening. That's how. It's not even just that I got. This is what week? Is this week number 7? Yeah, I want to say so, isn't it? No, this is part B. Week number 7's coming up. This is part B to week number 6 of how I wrap up the 8th house, because that's what I got in front of me. And then I'm going to do my the 4th house intro right after that, which should have come out like in the wee hours of Thursday morning, and it didn't. So part B of week 6. I can't say that it's just that I got bogged down with wrapping up house number 8. What I failed to anticipate was house number 4 and all that Cancerian energy of caring about everybody and putting everybody else first. Not that anything went wrong, but it's my guides actually played that into this and overlapped the 2 houses, so that I ended up working on somebody's birth chart and totally underestimated the time that I would be putting into it to dig deep. And therefore, and it had to be. It was all part of getting the Pamela Coleman Smith deck. So and then finally, I've been working on everybody with their charts here and there. This is the first time that I formatted a document for it, and so there were the creative concerns, formatting concerns, and everything that just So that there was an overlap. And so, which I don't know if it works against the interest, but it just is what it is. So I haven't even done the readings for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius that I was going to do for the first half of May, because we just didn't get there. I've been basically working like Nighthawk hours through this stuff. I do it to myself as well, but I'll show you why. Anyway, I just wanted to point out, I wanted to start us off in Stellarium. We have Aries. Sun is still in Aries. Yes, we've got a ways to go, and I wouldn't say that it's out of Aries till like here's the shape of, but here we have the beginning of Taurus. So once it's in between the energies, that's when I would consider it out of, enough out of the energy of Aries into Taurus. We definitely have Venus very much still in Taurus. Mercury still very much in Taurus. Got to work its way all the way up here. And here we have Mars working up the inner thigh and groin of Castor in Gemini. And of course Uranus. Now Pluto I've been trying to figure out what Pluto's been up to. I won't dig for it on here. I'm trying to figure out if he's retrograde, like how they decide that he's in Capricorn, because he's still closer to Sagittarius energy. But I'm still working on that. Okay, so my photo diary, this is one page of it, and I did group things like this together for color schemes. They were not related. They're not all, I didn't choose color schemes. They came to get like separate events, and I was like, oh damn, there's a message in that, which just reinforced what I was pulling out of those. One page wasn't enough. I'm Scorpius with my Jupiter in Gemini. So I couldn't credit myself with being a supercomputer necessarily, but that's a possibility. I don't know how super I am. We'll see what the results are. But just wanted to say, Scorpius, of course, the 8th house, and this is full reverence to the victims. It was... Okay, I have to clear out the camera. There we go. Of course I did. So they were filmed ahead of time, and it was promoted online ahead of time, a month or so beforehand, of them singing a goodbye song, right? So for if I don't follow any alt news channels anymore, because I became my own alt news source, because I know they're all bought and paid for. So I realize everything has to be taking information from all sources, and then, being around long enough to figure out, how to filter. But yeah, no, absolutely predictive programming there. Mythology and Fiction Explained did an excellent. All of a sudden, this video popped up about Hecate, and this is exactly the younger version is exactly who appeared to me in October 2019. But I understood her to be Kali within the months that followed that, like within about 8 months of that. So there's. I'm not. Of course, I'm not going to go into everything, but I needed several pages. So what I did, for different things. Karina, this is my best friend Tracy, and this is her daughter, and her daughter was murdered 4 years ago, and it's been covered up. And this is me working on pulling together what I know from my world about what could possibly affect psychic Sloan Bella's, and there's a thank you from her from the Facebook group where I did some. She's hired Bobby Vaca, private investigator. But Bobby's not connected to all the stuff that I know that seems like it's connected to the people that are possibly Sloan's son died in a hit and run motorcycle accident last July. And I did an 86-page report for her back in January. So and it does, as far as I'm concerned, there's every reason from my world about this cover-up in Belfast to the same gang stalking teams that have had run-ins with Sloan, right? And 4 days prior to the death of her son. And I just have that Scorpio luck that I've been endowed with to keep showing up. Similar to the gas station explosion that I caused, or that I believe I caused, and David Schurter believes I caused. And I was led back down to David Schurter and Doug Mesner, Lucien Greaves, who is threatening to sue David again, and has been stalking him, watching him online. So I'll probably be putting myself back into that situation. David does have me blocked, but I'm the one that has all the evidence to substantiate what David says, and I know what Doug has done to him, what Lucien's done to him. I have all this circumstantial evidence, and it ties to the rest of this, right? So, sorry to go into personals, but this is the kind of stuff this is what Scorpio looks like in my world. Also, I wanted to say, I changed the form. I took these photos of my pal Sarah, and I love my Roxette. This is the writing course that I'm in, and I thought it was really amazing how it was Billie Holiday's birthday, and I love her, and she's popped up for me before. She seems to be very active in many people's lives. She seems to love to be a guardian, and I just didn't notice this pose was echoed by this photo shoot. But obviously this formatting isn't the same as for the book. I set up a separate document because I wanted to, hang on a second, I gotta deal with a cat. So I knew that I didn't want to be stuck with margins as narrow as necessary for the book pages. So I opened a separate new document, set the margins to narrow, imported the text, right, made it smaller, and then I remembered to sort of, they're not equal all on all. I asked, I was just like, remember to leave that inside margin wider, yeah? And so, no, I needed this many. This is basically, I've managed to work, and I used that InShot app to make collages. I mean, I know nobody can read this, but that's a reminder to me that this is the place and time when I came across, this was a mathematical discussion, a trigonometry discussion, and a Masonic discussion under a video on YouTube of principles that connect to tarot, connect to basically magic squares, the deep universe stuff, right? And this, guy pretending not to be high up in the Masons was, enjoying himself by sharing so much knowledge. And he ended up reminding me completely of somebody that I've had a run-in with in the past. But other evidence tied to Isaac Cappy, because that ties back to all of this. And then, on a positive note, I restarted my drawing website That's been down for a couple of years just for financial reasons. Well, not for financial reasons, because I had to finish up. I didn't know that I needed this whole pink spider thing to come together to complete this. I got my Redbubble started up. Very happy about that. And so I needed a few pages. That's what I needed. I went back. I was a good girl. I went back. I filled in. I went back and rewatched the Baba Jolie predictions, and I found several, because it ended up, I worked on that at the same time as solving who I think's working with me in this house, which is pretty much everybody, but why, and then how to get specific with it. And I realized that in this house I'm dealing primarily with, and any of us would be dealing primarily with energy, use conversions of dead energy to alive energy. So mass to what am I trying to say? Oh my goodness. No, energy to mass, that's right, okay. And so I went back through, because things pop up for me in these searches, right? Signs and signals. The question for me was more why. And it has a lot to do with the white supremacy. There's a bottom line of many things working together to solve crime that is tied to an increasing, well, it's always been around. It's always been in control. You know, I'm going to thank Malcolm X especially. But this is a screenshot of candles that Karina always sends me. Karina, again, being Tracy's daughter, she always sends me, this was her favorite color. And so I made a deal with Tracy, or it came into my head a few years ago to ask her once. I think it was about a year after Karina had been murdered, and then Tracy kept using blue hearts, and blue hearts are a favorite for this kind of situation. But I said, "What are why the blue hearts?" She said, "Well, that was Karina's favorite color." And I said, "Okay, well, anytime I see that color, I'll photograph it and send it to you as a signal, as a sign, right?" And my God, I've had a blue ball come across a river to me. Yes. Videotape that. Like, there's no end to this. Anyway, this is the kind of stuff that should be that's in your life, whether or not you have, at this point, I'm sure you're very familiar with it. For yourself, yes, we're still recording. Excellent. I get so spooked by this. Okay. So, but I can say my 8th house is done. I'm gonna go back again and watch these videos again. I did not succeed at that, just for time's sake. In terms of, again, keeping track of this, I made notes. I ended up making notes about the events, and going back to Baba Jolie, and even like Quietest Revolution, they'll point out what, unfortunately, according to tropical settings, they'll point out dates that should be significant. Now, with the moon dates, no problem, but with everything else, even Sloan Bella is talking about Venus hitting Gemini, and it's not, because they're working off tropical settings, but they really need to get Sky Safari and Stellarium apps is what they need to do. And then do a combined chart. It's not unique to me. It should just be what it is. So, went back, got all of this squared up. A thing that I did, like I'm showing you that I actually did the work. I went back to this. I erased some of this and redid it. But I did fill in all my days. When it comes to this, I redid my chart. Where is it? I pulled it. Okay, here we go. I'm trying not to knock things into the flames. I redid my chart. This is the revised Larry Eli. That's what this one is, which changed my moon and actually put it squarely in the so that's the main modification. And I'm going to leave the others, I'm going to leave this as it is, the original, wherever it is hiding at this point. But from now on, for the 8th house, I went in and modified what I thought. There wasn't much to modify. I'm relying more and more on tarot placements to just confirm for me what I'm thinking astrologically. I found out what it means, how significant it is to have. Now my Venus is in opposition to Neptune. If you want to look at oppositions, and most importantly my Uranus, I'm one of those ones that has Uranus in direct opposition to my Sun, which means I'm forever an outsider until I figure out how not to be so odd and not be such an outsider. But even then, it's just sort of like, well, you just have to be kinder and gentler about it. Basically, that's all you can do, and then accept it and say, well, it is what it is. So oppositions, I mean, yeah, we can get more into squares and things like that, things that are close together, and conjunctions, not necessarily just conjunctions, but it's creeping in a bit to work on those. Put this back because that's more to do with 4th house. But basically, I think that's about it. I really do. I think that's the end of house number 8. I don't have a clear, do I have a clear sense? Well, yeah, I guess I actually pretty much do have a clear sense. But again, based on that photo diary, I'll be interested to see if that photo diary is as large for other houses or if it's unique to Scorpio energy. But again, no, the hearts and loyalties are in here. Loves and loyalties are in here because Mars is in here. Ages 2, ages 20, ages 40. Again, those issues. Just trying to think. I've noticed because of that math conversation. If I just get a visual up here, this one. And I found there's stuff that's great that pops up, like most popular girl's name. Well, it turned out like I went with Jennifer for my sex comedy novel title, because I wanted extremely common, not common as in boring, but just common names. And it turned in, this gave me the actual time span of when Jennifer was the most popular name. And starting in 1963 and peaking in 1987, I believe. So from 1963 to 1987, Jennifer was the name, of course, only in certain circles. But, well, and I found this thing popped up about cruise ships, you know, what the cost of, and what the cruise ship industry's gone through during lockdown, how extremely well prepared they were for that, strangely enough. And then what it costs to live on a cruise ship. So things that are anticipated, and that has everything to do with my work with Paul Gallico on Robert and Jennifer. And Paul Gallico wrote Poseidon Adventure. He's connected to me through a client where I live in Winnipeg and my partner over in Ireland, who was friends with one of his sons. And my client in Winnipeg has like a lifelong history with Poseidon Adventure, and that's what got me going. I didn't know I was, anyway, I've been yelling at Paul for years without knowing who I was yelling at. But in this conversation, in this mathematical, astrological conversation and Masonic conversation, a poem from James Clerk Maxwell showed up, who was the mathematician who proved Michael Faraday's scientific theories about electromagnetism. And of course we wouldn't be as far along with electricity if Michael Faraday hadn't figured out that electromagnetism moves in a spiral, a whole bunch of stuff. He's been pivotal for me because he came into my world, the 4th floor of a library, as many people did, he would do diagrams, drawings of his experiments, and he also started out working in a bookbinders. He bound the Encyclopedia Britannica is what he did. He's from Elephant Castle region of London. And so he would end up drawing and self-publishing his own scientific books, and then he became part of the Royal Society. Frank Baum has been sending me all kinds of information for a long time, and Oz was referenced in here because of the ounce abbreviation, right? And all the stuff that he did, and he was a theosophist, and so, yeah. So you pull information like that together. Why am I talking about this? Because keeping track of things, to whatever extent it interests you to keep track of them, yes? Further to, you know, the prediction of taking risky, well, I sometimes take too risky a road, I feel, but, yeah, I found a deck that I'd really like to get, I think. The Shadow Work Oracle deck. It's very, very beautifully creepy in a sort of graphic novel kind of way. But now I'm just rambling. But in terms, so I'll shut up. But no, finding cohesion like that, where you get some sort of certainty about, not that I didn't have it before, but for the sake of this page, you know, coming to some sort of conclusion. So very much, yeah, what Bruce Lee, you know, be like water. But who's in your life? Who's affecting your sense of how to convert dead energy back into living energy? To take what's negative in a bad way and transmute it into strength. Yeah, we could say even weakness into, but not perceived weakness, actual weakness, right? Things that bring you down and stop you, and how to actually move from a standing still position where you're stuck. And that's going to go against, frankly, that's going to go right against law of attraction. Sometimes it'll work with it, but it's going to also, undo the half-truths. And so there we are. And now I will say goodbye for now to Submarine Scorpio, and move along, overlapping into, by time, into Houseboat. Okay? And I will go tape that right now.